Hello again guys, it's Carly from the Poetry of Nice and welcome back to another weekly comments roundup. First things first, if you are new here, this is a channel all about reselling online. I sell on Etsy, eBay and Poshmark, and I sell everything from vintage hard goods to vintage and contemporary clothing, and I like to share all of my haul videos, my sale videos, tips, how-to tutorials and day in the lives right here on this channel. So if that sounds interesting to you, please do think about hitting that subscribe button down below and don't forget to say hello in the comments as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and get stuck in right away. I have about 5 comments here from the past week or so that I'm going to be answering in person on this little roundup. Let's just get going. Okay, so the first one is from Stephanie Dennis, and it says, hi, I'm wondering how many listings you need to have in order to make your target number of sales weekly. Also, how many new items do you try to add each week or day? Thanks so much. Okay, really good question, and a lot of people do ask this, so I really think that it differs for everybody. It really depends on your business model. Some people add like 50 items a day, some people add 100. It really depends how much time you have to put into your business, obviously. I personally aim for a minimum of 5 items a day. That is because, as many people who watch my channel know, I am also a stay-at-home parent to 3 boys under 5, so I am also quite busy and quite distracted while I'm working from home. I do have a daily checklist that I follow to make sure I achieve a certain amount of activity every single day, and I will link that in a card above as well, and probably down below in the description in case anyone wants to check out my video on my daily checklist and what all that entails. So like I said, I list 5 items minimum a day, and I do cross post from eBay to Poshmark and occasionally Etsy when I feel like it. But that's not all that I do to keep my business consistent and rolling every single day. I also make sure to share my Poshmark closet 1 to 2 times a day, mostly in the evening, but occasionally as well in the morning or like late morning, just depending. And then I also cross post a couple of items. I relist a couple of items on both Poshmark and anything that needs relisting on eBay that it has run its 30-day course. And then I also share the closet of other people as well. So I do have a short list, like I said, that I follow, that is the amount of activity I need to have going in all of my stores on all the different platforms every single day that isn't just listing items, but it is involved, as I said. For me personally, I found that those things that I named on that list, and again you'll see in that video if you check it out, that is enough to have me having consistent daily sales. That's not me making hundreds and hundreds of dollars every day, just to be completely transparent, and that's not really where I am right now with my expectations with my business, because like I said, I'm pretty distracted at home and this is very much part-time for me. I put in 1 to 2 hours a day work on my part-time business, but I am happy to have consistent daily sales. That's something that keeps me going, and as I said, some days are better than others. That's the way that the reselling business goes. So I hope that answered your question at least a little bit about what I do. Okay, so the next one is Root Pierre. Oh, that's a cool name. Great video, thank you. Quick question. I'm new to Posh and would like to know how you grew your followers on the platform in the beginning of your journey. That is a good question. What specific strategies were most successful? Awesome. Okay. Then there's some nice words. Thank you very much. Okay, so just to get down to business pretty much, in terms of building up my following, right now it's pretty much happening organic. I follow people back who share items in my closet right now, or I go into, like if there's a pop-up, there's a few different ones that have involved celebrities and things. I think Rachel Ray did one a while ago. A great tip when those pop-ups happen is you can go into the pop-up and then you follow all of the people following the pop-up, and that is sort of well known as a way to get hundreds and hundreds of followers in a single day. In terms of right at the beginning building that following though, I would definitely focus on following Posh ambassadors, because they are most likely to follow you back as well, because they already know the system a little bit, and also new people. When you go into like your little people tab on the front face of your app, you can sort of filter, I suppose you could say, by those kinds of people. So new to Poshmark, Posh ambassadors and all that kind of stuff. So I make sure to do that, and then obviously if you're active on Instagram and things like that and you see people posting, it's very easy to find out their closet name. Usually it's linked in their bio or they're linking it in the Instagram post themselves, and I would also go ahead and be active with that, because following those people might end up getting you some PFFs. Okay, next question is Autumn Fair 2121. And what do you do if you have an item where the comps on eBay and Poshmark differ greatly? Oh yes, good one. Do you price them same or differently for each platform? Love your videos. Thank you so much. Okay, that is such a good question. Actually, I've had a lot of people asking me that in the last couple of weeks. I'm not sure why, but I'm going to address it here because so many people have brought it up. So when the comps differ very much on eBay and Poshmark, I do adjust my price accordingly. However, not by very much. I tend to shoot towards the higher end of market value anyway, and I will usually lower it a little bit for eBay, but however, I make sure that I utilize best offer on eBay, and I make sure obviously that I utilize like offer to likers, and people can give me offers and things like that on Poshmark as well. So I'm always wanting to make sure that I'm having a reasonable starting price that hopefully won't put off a potential buyer, but I'm always leaving myself room for negotiation. If you're wondering a little bit more as well about how I particularly decide to like price my items to make sure that they are selling and not just sitting forever most of the time, we all have those cursed items that never move, then I will put up a card here as well, because I did a video recently on how I price my items in order to give myself just enough wiggle room to make sure that I'm active with offers and accepting offers and negotiation, but also getting as much out of my item as I possibly can for the market value that it's at right now. For the most part, I find that platforms like Etsy, for instance, or even Poshmark to a certain extent, if yours is one of not very many, or if it's like a very interesting vintage piece, I find that I can price my item higher because those buyers overall are more willing to spend a little bit more money for something that is unique or one of a kind, whereas eBay, I feel like those buyers are a little bit more scarce. They're quite willing to wait for the next item to roll around. That's just my personal impression of the platforms, but Etsy and Poshmark are the ones that I would price a little bit higher, and eBay is really where I feel like the bargain hunters for the most part might be. All right, next one is Vita Dunning. Again, really pretty name. Okay, just wanted to tell you about a recent sale I made. Oh yes, I wanted to share this because I really like this comment. So I bought a camel hair blazer for $1 last year that ended up with a water stain on the satin lining that dry cleaning could not remove. I didn't want to list it because it was flawed, so I sat in it for about a year. Then something you said, apparently, quite frequently in your videos hit me. Full disclosure, I listed the blazer on a Thursday night and it sold the very next night for $35, and that's probably the second or third time I've had an item move that fast on Poshmark. Thank you for sharing, I'm still learning. And so I wanted to share this because she's totally right, and this is something that I mention in my videos a lot. I personally am not afraid to list a flawed item, especially if it is a vintage item. And what she said there about full disclosure is me recommending that you provide both photographs of any kind of damage, and I'm talking if you don't have enough space on Poshmark because they only allow you 8 photographs, then go ahead and make a collage. I personally use photor.com. I will link that down below as well. It's totally free. It's just the website that I personally use to make my collages, and that way you can get a picture from every single angle possible of the damage or flaw in your item, so that you can stand behind it quite confidently when you sell it to somebody that it is as described. And then I always also add detailed description of any kind of flaws within the description body itself, and then on eBay I'll go ahead and copy and paste and make sure that it's in the condition description as well, so it's in there as many times as possible so nobody can kind of come back and say you never told me. I want to make sure that my buyer is not disappointed, and that any kind of flaw that they get is going to still be meeting their expectations. They're not going to be shocked when they get a package through. And I'm so pleased that you got that sale so quickly. That's awesome. First of all, it sounds like a really cool item that you had to sell anyway, and it just goes to show I do it as well. I sell on items when I think they're not going to be worth anything. I put them up and they absolutely surprise me. So if you even have a hint that somebody might be interested in your item, go ahead and list it, because you never know. Okay, and the last comment for today that I'm going to be sharing is from Slimy Grey Cat. Quite possibly my favorite screen name I've ever seen. Hi Carly, I love your videos and I've learned a bunch from what you have shared. I have a question for you. How do you track your inventory, when and what you purchased, for how much, when an item was listed and for how much, etc.? Is there software that you can recommend? Okay, so this is what I do, and I keep it really simple. So what you're talking about there is keeping track of inventory and stuff is also relevant to bookkeeping. I will say I work with a CPA, so I make sure that I know everything that I need to keep track on. Anyone who watched my videos know that I do buy from thrift stores occasionally, and when that happens, I keep all of my hard copy receipts in like a little binder and whatnot, and I do input them into a spreadsheet, just an Excel spreadsheet as well, so I can say the date, I can say where it was purchased from, the amount it was purchased for, and how many items I got, so I can see that breakdown of cost per item. But I also only ever purchase from my business account. I have a separate business account, so all of the incomings and outgoings within that account are only relevant to my business, nothing else. That way, when I pull out money for things like rummage sales or yard sales, which I do from, you know, the ATM at my bank or whatever, I can still keep track electronically of how much money I have spent on cost of goods. I know that every withdrawal, whether it be for $10 or $100, is for inventory, it's for cost of goods, and so I can keep track of that throughout the year as well, and that gives me a really good overall look at how much I'm spending on all of my inventory across an entire year. I actually don't break down how I track my inventory in my spreadsheet by item, because quite frankly I would be here forever. Just yesterday I went to a rummage sale and I got like 90 items. I think it would take me most of the week to break it down and say like each individual item, and then as they sell to go back in and say when they sold and how much they sold for. So what I do with my CPA, and again, complete disclosure, talk to your own CPA and make sure this is the way that they want you to do it, but for me, with my CPA, they are very happy for me to keep track of that inventory, that cost of goods, and to also come up with an average cost. So for me, my average cost in 2018 per item was $1, because I buy from so many rummage sales and yard sales, and my cost of goods is very, very low overall. Thrift stores for me are really only in the winter months. Everything else is acquiring things at that low cost. So $1. So basically, I can see how many items that I've sold throughout the entire year of 2018. And I can do that by looking at like my analytics, my metrics and stuff on each individual platform. And then I can see how many items I sold overall, and that is some information as well that they would like for their bookkeeping when they're looking after my particular taxes and accounts. But I do find it useful information as well to see how often I source, and again to have that average cost of goods on my mind. Obviously we're always trying to bring it down. Obviously it's really good to track those things and see how you can adapt over time to better your business model. All right, I really hope that that helped, and I hope that these comments and tips and all this kind of stuff were useful today. Thank you so much for coming back to hang out, and I wish you the most amazing week. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please do hit that subscribe button down below, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.